날 전부 비가 왔어요. 죽은 여자가 빨간 옷을 입고 있었어요.
목격자가 있나? 그렇다고 증거가 있나?
범인이 워낙 빈틈이 없고요.
자신 있나?
Memories of Murder, or Salanochok, the Korean name, is a 2003 South Korean crime thriller film about the true story of Korea's first confirmed serial murders, which took place between 1986 and 1991 in Hwasong Gyeonggi Province. Produced by CJ Entertainment and Sidus, the movie released on May 2, 2003. It was directed by Bong Joon-ho, a popular director whose films are characterized by emphasis on social themes and genre mixing. He is known for Snowpiercer, an English-language film which featured Chris Evans, and the highly acclaimed and award-winning film Parasite. Memories of Murder was written by Bong Joon-ho and Sang Bo-shim. It stars Song Kang-ho, who is also known for Snowpiercer and Parasite, as well as a taxi driver. The film also stars Kim Song-kyung, who is known for his leading role in May 18 and the TV drama King Sejong the Great. Other important characters are played by Park Hae-il, Kim Roy-ha, and No-shik Park. Set in the 1980s, Memories of Murder follows two detectives, Park and Seo, trying to solve a series of murders. The movie begins with a woman, who is raped and murdered, being found at the outskirts of a town by Detective Park. However, Park has never dealt with such a serious case before, and as a result, evidence is improperly collected or even completely forgotten about at times. The police's investigative methods are illegal and dangerous, and no forensic technology is used. On top of that, Park thinks he can tell whether a suspect is guilty through eye contact. In fact, he uses this method on a mentally handicapped boy, Baek Kwang-ho, and he deduces that he is responsible, so he has his partner Cho beat confessions out of him. Meanwhile, a detective from Seoul, Seo Tae-yoon, arrives in the town to assist Park and his team. However, he and Park are initially always at odds, with Seo finding Park's methods primitive and rudimentary. Seo releases Baek due to Baek's scarred and weak hands, which he thinks couldn't have committed the elaborate crimes. After a couple more murders are committed, the detectives figure out the killer has a pattern. He always kills on rainy nights, he only kills women wearing red clothing, and he always requests the local radio station to play a particular song before he murders. A bit later in the movie, in an effort to investigate, Park and Cho arrive at one of the crime scenes where they also see Detective Seo. However, a local man arrives at the crime scene as well, and as the detectives stay silent and wait for the right moment to apprehend him, the man starts masturbating to a woman's red lingerie. After a long chase, Park and Cho find the man and brutally beat him. Seo finds a survivor of the killer, and he learns from her that the killer's hands are smooth and soft. Since the man they apprehended had hands that were rough, he is cleared. While Park and Seo argue and fight, they learn that the song is playing on the radio. They also realize that it's raining, but they are too late. Another woman has been murdered, and this finally motivates Park, Seo, and Cho to work together. A series of clues from the murders lead the detectives to a young factory worker named Park Hyun-gyu. Seo notes that his hands are soft like the survivor had described, and after interrogating him for a bit, they think they've found the killer. However, Cho loses his patience and beats Hyun-gyu, causing him to be banned from the interrogation room. Seo and Park discuss Baek's confession, and Seo realizes that it was not forced by Park. After listening to the confession, they realize that Baek was actually an eyewitness. The detectives go to Baek's father's restaurant and they chase down Baek and try to question him. But they accidentally startle him and Baek runs into a train and is killed. The detectives then discover semen on one of the bodies, but since Korea doesn't have the necessary technology to test it, it is sent to the United States to confirm if Park Hyun-gyu is the killer. That same day, a young girl is murdered, and Seo recognizes the girl to be the schoolgirl he befriended while he was investigating. Angry, Seo attacks Hyun-gyu, thinking he is the killer. However, he is interrupted by Park, who received the results from America. They learn that the sample does not match the DNA of Hyun-gyu, so they let him go. In the end, the murders are not solved, and after a time skip, Park comes back to the scene of the first crime and is told of a normal-looking man who had also recently visited and reminisced about something he did there. Though certainly dramatized, the film Memories of Murder is based on real events. While a total body count was never mentioned in the film, at least 10 similar murders were committed in the Hwaseong area between October 1986 and April 1991. This killing spree became known as the Hwaseong serial murders. Some of the details of the murders in the movie, such as the killer gagging the woman with her underwear, were real events taken from the case. Also, as in the film, the investigators found bodily fluids at crime scenes suspected to belong to the murderer, but they did not have access to equipment to determine whether the DNA matched suspect DNA until late in the investigations. After the ninth murder, DNA evidence was sent to Japan, unlike the film where it was sent to America for analysis. But the results did not match any suspects, just like in the movie. When the film was released, the case was still unsolved and the statute of limitations was almost up. However, South Korea's Uri Party sought to amend the law to give the detectives and prosecutors more time to catch the killer, partly due to the upsurge in interest in the case after the release of Memories of Murder. More than a decade later, in September 2019, Lee Chun-jae, a man in his 50s, was announced to be a suspect in the killings. He was identified after DNA from the underwear of one of the victims matched his DNA. When he was identified as the probable culprit, he was already serving a life sentence in Busan for the rape and murder of his sister-in-law. Although Lee initially maintained his innocence, on October 2, 2019, he eventually confessed to killing 14 people, including all 10 of the serial murders. The additional 4 murders occurred in Suwon and Chungju. In addition, Lee also confessed to more than 30 rapes and attempted rapes. Finally, in July 2020, the police confirmed that Lee committed the murders and the rapes with the motive of relieving his sexual desire. The case was closed 33 years after the first victim's death, and Lee was sentenced with life in prison. Memories of Murder is a movie rife with intrigue and suspense. It contained many characters, many of which were at odds with one another at certain times. However, I thought the movie was very interesting and entertaining to watch. While watching it, I drew comparisons to the English film Zodiac, mostly because it captures that foreboding feeling that evil is going to get away no matter what. However, unlike Zodiac, Bong chose to take aim at those responsible for catching the killer. Park and Cho are legitimately bad at their jobs, and Bong masterfully showcases this. For instance, at the beginning of the film, there is an incredible sequence in which a body is laying on a field, exposed, as police officers and locals fumble about the area. A cop falls down a hill. A tractor driver destroys a shoe print that could have been evidence. All in all, without exaggerated comedy or melodrama, the movie portrays the fact that the detectives have no idea what to do. In addition, the film also includes comedic bits showing the blunders of the rural police, which furthers the idea of their incompetence. However, I did find it surprising how far the investigators were willing to go in order to get a confession. They beat and tortured their suspect, and we see this multiple times in the film. In fact, in one such example, I noticed that Park actually paused the tape recorder when the suspect was saying something that went against their pre-contrived story. Another thing that sticks out to me was the final scene, where Park looks out into the audience to find the murderer, almost breaking the fourth wall. I found this scene very chilling since it implies that the murderer is still out there, possibly even continuing his killing. Lastly, I thought the cinematography, the settings and backgrounds, and the overall persona of the people perfectly captured the environment of the 1980s. It is often difficult to recreate an atmosphere from several decades ago, but I think this film does it perfectly. All in all, Memories of Murder is a murder chronicle that completely engulfs you into its own mystique. It is a richly layered film with great plot devices, satirical and comedic elements, and an elusive and suspenseful tone that matures by the end.